Hello everyone, and welcome back to Torchlight 2. As promised, with a new character. It's an Outlander, which is, I guess, sort of somewhat the equivalent of the Ranger class from other games. Something along those lines. Not quite. The classes in this game tend to not be so clear-cut, but it's more or less a ranged character. Stat-wise, I should just show you these. Stat-wise, I gave her 10 points of dexterity, which is actually a bit of a waste. I should have stuck to 15. The point is, in the very late game at level 100, with the high-end equipment that you'll be carrying, you don't need anything more than 109 dexterity, because that's when diminishing returns for crit and dodge chance will start to set in. I think they will still scale, but a lot slower, or maybe not at all, don't quote me on that. But anyway, by that time you will probably have a lot of stat bonuses on your equipment from enchantments, so anything higher than this amount of dex is sort of a waste. Alternatively, you can sort of look for your best in slot equipment that you'll be carrying at level 100. And then just spec 109 dex, put the rest into focus, for this build at least. I don't need vitality, it's for whining babies. And then you just make sure that none of the equipment you carry gives a dex bonus, because that would be a waste. I decided to go for low dex, high focus. Probably might not be the better choice, I don't know, but it means that I can use equipment later on that happens to have a dex bonus on it without feeling like that dex bonus is wasted. And as I said, the rest went into focus for increased magic damage. I think 2 points of focus give 1% magic damage, and since I'm using wands and focusing on poison damage, that is a very, very nice damage bonus from focus alone. The execute chance that you get from focus is pointless, because this build requires a wand and a shield. Well, the wand is optional. I could use a pistol or anything really, any one-handed weapon. Auto attacks don't really matter as much as on the Berserker. But yeah, I'm not dual wielding. I'm carrying a shield to improve my survivability, because at base vitality of 5, I get some bonuses from my equipment, but I'm technically at base vitality. You can really use the block chance on a shield for survivability. And strength is pointless, because I'm not using not really using weapons that require strength. It would require all weapon damage, but it would improve all weapon damage, but I'm spamming skills. I'm spamming Glaive Throw, which is my main damage skill. So I should get into that. I'll try to keep this slightly short, and I'll fail. Rune Vault at 1 out of 15, just because it's it's sort of a panic button that allows me to get out of trouble. But don't expect me to use it too much. Whenever I'm in panic mode, I tend to panic and forget I have a get out of the situation button, and so I tend to not use it, but yeah. Cursed Daggers is a damage over time poison debuff for enemies, also reduces the damage they deal. I'm not really using this yet. It will become more useful as it's maxed, because this one will actually be put to 15. Glaive Throw is finished. I'm at rank 5 out of 15. I'm not speccing this any higher, because the mana cost increases more than the damage, basically. So I get less damage per point of mana spent. And having it this low allows me to really spam it, and I can spec casting speed on my equipment, which enables me to throw these glaives a lot faster than if I had this at 15 and couldn't afford, just in terms of how much mana it costs. I think it goes up to over 50 mana per cast, which at this point I could afford casting that maybe 3 times. So keeping this at 5 out of 15 is advised. There's no real reason to put it any higher. Passive skills are Dodge Mastery, just increases survivability, very useful. Share the Wealth gives me an increased bonus from my charge. The way charge works on the Outlander is, so it fills up in the same way as it does on the Berserker, but if I have no charge at all, my first shot will automatically be a stun. It'll stun an enemy. And as this fills up, I basically get a bonus. So it's not like with the Berserker where I have to fill it up and then I get this short duration of super mode where everything's critical. Instead, I sort of fill this up and I can keep it filled up. And as long as it's completely filled up, I think these bonuses go up to 10%. So that's 10% cast speed, dodge chance, hit chance, and crit chance, and attack speed. Obviously quite huge. And with the Share the Wealth, I get another 40% bonus to these benefits myself, and technically all allies and pets gain that as well. I'm soloing, so my pet will get it, and yeah, this obviously becomes even more useful in multiplayer, but even in single player it's very good. I'm also speccing Repulsion Hex. It's currently at 1 out of 15. This will push to probably 10. It keeps enemies that are trying to get close to me away, basically, and the higher I spec it, the faster it's able to turn towards an enemy and the faster it's able to actually push them away. It's this thing floating over my head. It has a recast of 35 seconds and lasts for 40 seconds, so even at level 1 it's maintainable, which is why I'm currently focusing on different skills to spec. And Master of the Elements just gives me a flat-out bonus to all elemental damage. It's got the double bonus for poison, which is good because eventually I'll be focusing on poison. Equipment, I know it's kind of boring, but I want to sort of bring you up to speed on what the character's doing. I have 3 pieces of the Regent set, but the health stolen, I believe that only applies to auto attacks. So I'm not really using these much unless I run out of mana. I'll mostly be spamming Glaive Throw. So the reason I'm having it really is because I didn't have anything else, and the attack speed is somewhat useful. Really, it's just this piece, for example, I'm carrying because it gives 1.7 mana recovery, which is quite a lot at this stage in the game. That's the reason I'm carrying it. The set bonus isn't so important. The Asteria set, I have 2 pieces of that, giving me cast speed. Those would actually all be useful, so if I find more pieces of that set, I might be equipping them, just because the 4% mana boost would be lovely. And the 6% to all damage would also be helpful, so pretty nice. I've got the boots as well, giving me 17 focus, which is quite good. For a wand, I'm using Frexel's Star. It has some poison damage on it. It's more of an electric wand, but the one I had before had even less poison damage, so that's why I'm using it. I gave it a mana stolen on hit effect, so that basically when I'm auto-attacking it means I'm out of mana, so it's good that then I get some mana back. The rest really is not so relevant. It's just a random unique that I think I had that in my chest actually. As you can see, it requires level 50 and I'm only level 26, but because I have that high focus I can use it anyway. Here's a Regent set helmet, having cast speed and poison damage bonuses, which are both things I can really use very well, so I'm happy to have found that. My necklace is junk. I have 2 pretty much identical Ember Eye rings. Got these, I think, also from my shared stash. I'm not above using that. Yeah, really, they give me increased magic find. That's the reason I have them. Nothing else much. I mean, they give ice armor and poison armor because of the Basilisk eyes, but really, I have them for the magic find and because I didn't have anything else. The ice armor is useful towards the end of chapter 1 or act 1, but right now not much is dealing ice damage to me. A 13% bonus to poison damage on the Regent mantle, shoulder armor. And so it's kind of nice, the Regent set, even though I'm not using the set bonus, all of the pieces have effects that I really like, so it just happens to work out very nicely. I have a Gloom Girdle, giving me some vitality, and the amount of health you get from speccing vitality is pitiful. Vitality, the main point of it really would be to increase your block chance on weapons, on shields. So yeah, again, just sort of, I didn't really have a better belt. Very nice gloves, 20% bonus to poison damage is quite good. Experience bonus not as relevant, but yeah, again. And yeah, notice that the Gloom Girdle requires level 70, but I actually managed to get the focus requirement. And there's quite a few items like that in the game where the level requirement is very high, but sometimes the actual requirement in attributes is low. So, yeah. I've been talking for 10 minutes now, I should get done. And for a shield, I'm just using a Shelter's Disc. Haven't found anything better. Again, the shield is mostly for block rate. It has some nice bonuses, but none that I really rely on for my build. And my pad has an epic collar and an epic stud, which is quite nice. Nothing spectacular, and the pad is mostly as a distraction, not as a damage dealer. Anyway, I am at the same point as I was with the Berserker. I finished the Lair of the Manticore, killed him, and now I am back at the Sphinx. And I've done all the side quests as well.
The way is clear. The forge, the queen, the end is near.
Okay, and that should give me a level up, and is that 3 times the exact same reward? Not quite, that's slightly different.
You have received a quest.
Okay, I will keep speccing nothing but focus. And in terms of skills, Share the Wealth can get a buff. So let's go to the Forsaken Vaults. Vaults, not walls. Vaults. These scroll cabinets, by the way, for the same reason as the sundials outside, you should always loot those because they might contain a really cool scroll. I should show you what my auto attacks do. Pitiful damage. So, yeah. My real source of damage is definitely the glaive throw. As you can see, that does a lot more. The only time to auto attack is really if I need more mana, because I have that mana regeneration on the mana steal on my weapon. Okay, I switch back to the minimap on top because it was getting a little out of hand in the open area, but I think in here I can probably go for this again. Okay. And okay, just in case you hadn't quite noticed, we are currently at the point where we're trying to save the Guardian of Mana. And those big guys have a reflection field, which I should probably wait until that's worn off before I start throwing glaives again. And I will often enough forget to recast my my repulsion hex. I really like this tile set, by the way. It's got some cool stuff. Lots of traps, which tend to be places where hardcore characters lose their lives. But the traps are very good for farming potions, actually. Okay. See that lightning shield around him? That's reflective and will bounce my bullets or my glaives or anything ranged really back at me. So, something to be avoided. Okay, the normal enemies still go down fairly well. These snatchers here are really dangerous. Not so much for me, but if you're playing on hardcore, these guys tend to, or they can if you're unlucky, they can pull you into traps which will then kill you very, very quickly, so really something to be avoided. They are quite dangerous. And at I think 2 rebounds that the glaive has at this level, that's really enough. As I said, the additional bonuses you get from speccing the glaive higher, they're not worth it because of the additional cost that is required. I should really keep the repulsion hex up. And Dragon Grinder is almost dead already, so... My current equipment, my ability to spam the glaives is still somewhat impaired. There's a set which is kind of similar to the Regent set. The Regent set gives me 20% health stolen. There's a set that gives 6% mana stolen. So again, my damage gets converted to the resource that I require for more spamming, and that will be a set I'm probably going to go for in the long run. Okay, you just wait until that shield is up while I recast my Hex. And then he survives about 3 glaives, so... All the while the game keeps telling me that my pet is in trouble, but I really don't care that much. There we go. Glaive Spammage for the win. It's one of the strongest builds for the Outlander. Oh yeah, and here, by the way, the ground is basically a death trap. And so you can't afford to stand on the sort of standard ground here for very long, because standing on a tile here will trigger that tile to become that, and that does a lot of damage. Again, as I've said before, it tends to be one of those things that kills hardcore characters. And I mean, it can kill softcore ones as well, but it's just not as terrible. See? And I should probably just get out of here. Pets are terrible at avoiding these traps, so they tend to just die. Okay, I also got the robot parts quests to the same point as they had been on Berserker. Just so, well, you don't miss anything, you just get to see more classes, which, I don't know, I thought that might be interesting. Wow. That's what happens when you get greedy. I shouldn't get greedy, I should just leave. And that golden chest, it's marked on the map, but it's not a locked golden chest, so... I think the game just marks one golden chest on the map. Because some dungeons actually have multiples. None of them locked, but the game will mark only one of them. It's a little weird, but meh.
Not enough mana.
How about more spammage? Thank you. I quite enjoy this build. The glaives are very nice. They sort of have a bit of an inherent AoE because they rebound from enemies, and the rebounds automatically target enemies, so very convenient to use. And I'm already most of the way towards the next level up. Nice.
I can't carry anymore.
Okay. Well, if I'm carrying too much, I shall hand most of it over to my pet. I'm not keeping these random ember chips that I'm getting at this point. I'm just out-leveling them faster than... not bad. I'll keep this. I keep any set piece really, because you can transmute two set pieces of, well, any set pieces really, to a new set piece. I think of roughly the same level as the lower level item that you transmuted. But essentially it means even sets that you don't want to use, it still makes sense to collect them because you can turn them into possibly set pieces that you do need. It's one of those things they added because some of the sets obviously have a lot of pieces. There are maybe 8 or 10 piece sets. So getting all of these as random drops would be a little rough, which is why they've added some methods of getting additional pieces of sets that you might want. One of them is that transmutation recipe, the other is the scroll I mentioned earlier that that automatically spawns a merchant who sells set pieces. And then there's also a fair amount of quests that give you set pieces as rewards. Which I'm not certain if these are fixed rewards or somewhat randomized, but they're certainly quite nice. Also note that the rebounds, they sort of reset the range of the glaive. So if I'm hitting someone who's just in range, it can still rebound further away from me so that I can hit enemies who are technically well out of range for the glaive throw. But the rebound gets them anyway.
Not enough mana.
Okay, my pet is taking its time, so I can probably actually get everything that's around here. I maybe should notice that I have a mod active which enables me to scroll further away from my character. I think maybe this is about the maximum without it. Ish. Also, currently my bonuses are at about 7%, so they decay quite quickly. They decay, not decay. Whatever. But in combat I also build them up fairly quickly, because Glaive Throw has the inherent ability of getting more charge. I get 2.8% charge per Glaive Throw, and I spam that quite a bit, as you've seen. Anyway, I think I'll continue next time, so I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.